Hi, welcome to Ocean Yemi's channel. So once again, I'm here about Lucy letby case. This is a case that's been going on for a while. This lady is literally trying to say that she's innocent. Now, I found some of the stuff that they spoke about, like the person that was on duty when she was not on duty, or when she was on duty. The Koch, I think it's called the Koch ward non-complaints thing. What else? What else was I looking for? There is also like the inquiry, that inquiry. The first, I can't say the word. The inquiry, that inquiry, what they're doing on her to find out. Oh yeah, the back stairs, the map of the place. What else do I need? There's something else I need. There's something else that I need also from that same thing I was reading. Okay. So what I'm going to start off with is, where is the Lucy letby case right now at this moment? And thank you to Amp, who sent me a link of her channel where she spoke, where there seems to be more babies that's been unalived by this lady. Like I said, this lady is Amaya Hinley. All the angel of deaths you can think of. Okay, so to me, it's a lot more complex that how they're saying that how she's innocent. So they're saying that how there's new legal representatives and stuff like that she's got. Hold on, let me find one where I was originally. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is this is gonna be about where the case is now. So this is an even deeper in depth into it.
We are a magazine about law and justice and the different, since reporting restrictions were lifted following the trial and retrial of Lucy letby. Concerns, doubts, and speculation as to her guilt have emerged. Letby remains behind bars at HMP Bronzefield, a women's prison in Surrey, and has had all her applications to appeal her convictions rejected. Despite this, experts from various fields, lawyers, commentators, journalists, and politicians have expressed their doubts over her guilt, and in some cases their disbelief at the weakness of the case against her. Many others remain convinced of Letby's guilt but are concerned about the safety of a prosecution that relied heavily on arguments that have since been found to be inaccurate or misleading. While it is true that those coming forward now to question Letby's conviction were not present at the trial, many people close to the case, including the expert witness for the defense, who was not actually called to give evidence, have sounded the alarm. Lucy letby herself maintains her innocence. Her convictions make her one of the most prolific child murderers in history. We look now at the case so far. Could Letby be the victim of one of the gravest miscarriages of justice in British history? Are those questioning her guilt ill-informed? Or worse, are they weaving conspiracy theories about a harrowing but ultimately closed case? Creeping concerns. Dr. Phil Hammond, who writes the MD column for Private Eye and was one of the first mainstream journalists to dig deeper into the Letby case, recently posted on X about the enormous shift that has taken place over the last few months. While until very recently anyone expressing concerns over the case was dismissed as being a conspiracy theorist, the dial has now turned the opposite way. Those insisting there was nothing to be concerned about during the trial and Letby is irrefutably a child killer could now be perceived as the more dogmatic. The idea that the conviction is not safe has emerged from a journalistic unraveling, starting with the publication of an article in The New Yorker in May. At first, readers in the UK were not able to access the article without using a VPN, as it was geo-blocked on account of the UK's reporting restrictions on ongoing cases, ostensibly in place to avoid prejudicing the jury. In this case, a retrial, the jury was already aware of Letby and her convictions. The reporting restrictions therefore seemed unlikely to influence the case. The New Yorker article meticulously examined the case over the course of 13,000 words. The Conservative MP David Davis spoke in the House of Commons a few days later and called on the Lord Chancellor to lift a court order blocking the article on the grounds that the ban offended open justice. He has since gone on to take up the mantle of the Letby case in other ways, appearing on Good Morning Britain on September 2 to discuss his concerns. Journalists pull at loose threads. Following the publication of the New Yorker article, and the lifting of restrictions, there was a flurry of coverage in the UK press, one that has transformed into something of a sustained campaign leading into the forthcoming Thirlwall inquiry into events at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Articles in The Guardian, The Telegraph, and The Independent on Sunday, podcasts by The Times, and commentaries by well-known columnists have built up a picture of a potential wrongful conviction. Reporting on the justice gap, including an interview with a leading statistical expert, has also raised doubts about the case. British-born statistician Richard Gill, emeritus professor of mathematical statistics at the University of Leiden in the Netherlands, spoke to the justice gap while the reporting restrictions were still in place, saying, "I think that the trial was unfair, the police investigation was unfair, and, I also say, I'm certain Lucy Letby is innocent, as certain as you can be about these things." Gill campaigned on behalf of a nurse in the Netherlands, Lucia de Berg, who was also convicted of murder on the basis of statistical evidence. Her conviction was eventually overturned and became known as one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in the country's history. He told the Justice Gap, "I have seen how these cases arise out of nothing. You can completely understand everything on the basis of the innocence hypothesis. In other words, this is what happens when things go wrong. There is a calamity and a scandal in an NHS maternity unit or neonatal unit every year. There is a serial killer nurse in England maybe once in 50 years. The probability that this is just another NHS scandal is enormous. Every single piece of evidence only makes me more certain of that." Another academic, John O. Quigley, has criticized the prosecution's use of statistics which appear to show that for every suspicious death that occurred at the Countess of Chester Hospital, Letby was on shift. A table showing collapses and deaths of babies charted against which nurses were on shift appeared damning, as Letby was supposedly the only nurse present for every incident. He said, "According to the prosecution, it is clear evidence, it's nothing of the sort, and any statistician, a first-year undergraduate in statistics, could show that's nonsense. You really don't need a sophisticated understanding of statistics to see that it is a complete crock." Asked if he was convinced of Letby's innocence, he said, "I cannot be certain that she's innocent. I can be certain that she did not get a fair trial." Dr. Phil Hammond has written a series of articles on the Letby case for Private Eye. With regards to the statistical evidence, he has reported there were at least 35 deaths or non-fatal collapses during the period in question that should have been included in the table for it to be considered statistically robust. In a piece written in July, he asked, "Why did babies collapse when Letby was not on duty? She was convicted of 7 murders, but there were 10 other deaths that she wasn't on duty for." A recent article in The Guardian pulled at another thread, that of Letby's handwritten notes which were presented by the prosecution as a confession. It has now been revealed that Letby was advised to write down her feelings by an occupation health specialist within the Countess of Chester Hospital. When taken as a cathartic, therapeutic way of processing an extremely traumatic situation, the picture painted is entirely different. Appealing the convictions. So what now? It was revealed last week that Letby has instructed a new defense team ahead of her application to the CCRC. Her new barrister, Mark MacDonald KC, told the BBC's File on 4, "I knew almost from the start, following this trial, that there is a strong case that she is innocent. The fact is juries get it wrong. And yes, so do the Court of Appeal. History teaches us that. Many who are unsure about letby's innocence question the morality or usefulness of commenting on her case in the public eye, often referencing how painful it must be for the parents of the babies who died to see their killer being championed.
Because it is painful.
This
for
is
them.
valid yet betrays a misunderstanding of the UK's system for dealing with miscarriages of justice. Letby's requests to appeal her convictions have been rejected. The only option now available to her is to make an application to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, CCRC, the beleaguered watchdog established to resolve miscarriages of justice. Miscarriages of justice are rarely uncovered without a sustained media or political campaign. For the CCRC to review any, or all, of the convictions against Letby would be extremely complex work, likely taking many years. For the body to agree to look into a case, there has to be new evidence that was not presented to the jury at the initial trial. You cannot simply argue that the jury got it wrong. The commissioners then refer the case back to the Court of Appeal, which could find that no miscarriage of justice has in fact taken place. Public inquiry. In the meantime, the Thirlwall inquiry into what happened at the Countess of Chester Hospital starts tomorrow, when it will begin hearing oral evidence. In her opening statement published on the inquiry website, the chair, Lady Justice Thirlwall, referred to the case of Beverly Allitt, who murdered babies on a hospital ward in Grantham in the 1990s. She said, "Everyone was determined that it would not happen again. It has happened again. This is utterly unacceptable." In the last few weeks, a group of experts have asked the government to postpone or alter the inquiry over concerns about the way evidence was presented to her trial. In a letter, 24 neonatal experts said the obvious assumption that the nurse did commit all of the murders for which she has been found guilty may mean alternative, potentially complex causes for the deaths were not examined and important lessons were missed. One of the experts, Warwick University's Professor Jane Hutton, an expert in medical data, told the BBC that in her opinion the work behind the statistics presented to the jury appears not to have been done in the way that it should be. She said a police statement suggested the statistical work was done with Lucy Letby in mind, which is completely inappropriate. The inquiry confirmed in July that it would take on board growing concerns about the failure of the courts to get to grip with statistical evidence in medical murder cases. According to the Royal Statistical Society, the inquiry has accepted its recommendation that the terms of reference include the appropriate uses of statistical evidence in cases of medical murder. The Justice Gap is an online magazine about the law and justice run by journalists. Read more. Our print magazine is Proof. Contributors include Michael Mansfield QC, Bob Wofinden, David Rose, Eric Allison, and Ian Cobain. The latest issue, The Other Ones, includes the Birmingham 4, Andrew Mawkinson's Fight for Justice, the Scandal of Joint.
And I've also come across the 4 children that was brought up in the inquiry. So child A, an unusual blotchy pattern of well pre-used pink skin over the whole body, coupled with patches of white and blue skin. Child B, purple blotching, right mid abdominal right hand. Oh wow! So that's like a bruise. So discoloration, the skin mainly over that's child D. Child A, striking discoloration with fitting white and purple patches. So these are the 4 children that she didn't treat very well. And despite having 14 other sources, he assisted clearly. The phenomenon described by Lee matches what was seen on the babies. I don't get this. How does Lee's benching? Oh, these words. A bright pink vessel against a general background matches the rashes described. So there's rashes and all sorts. Okay, so Okay, so remember yesterday I was talking about the layout of the place that they were saying about the back stairs. They kept mentioning the back stairs. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put up the map of the back stairs before I do the coach or whatever, because you see where she was on duty. Let me see the back stairs. So this is the neonatal unit. This is where they're talking about how there could have been something wrong with the swipe door. Okay. But they must have cameras around the place. That's what I'm thinking. There must be cameras around it, because you can't just enter like that. That's delivery suites, staff room. Because they spoke about the back stairs yesterday. Let me see if I can find it on here, because this is the one. See, that's the entrance of it. Let me see. Is this not it? No, this probably ain't the one that I was looking at yesterday. It's probably not the one from yesterday. Because they're saying she weren't on shift. See? They're saying that letby wasn't on shift. Mind you, I did come across something to do with that. Hold on, let me see if I could find it. Where they were saying she was on shift. With all of them. With most of them. She was on shift the majority of the time. Let's see if we can find it. Because I seem to have lost it. That's the coach. Oh, where is it? No, I can't find it now. No, I'm looking for it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Oh, yes. And also what she says as well is key too. Okay, so I'm going to play this too. What she says is key too, you know. They always tell on themselves.
Enterprise convictions, and much more. Samantha Tulio is a freelance writer and news editor of the Justice Gap.
Oh, lovely, that's it.
Lucy Letby told colleagues she couldn't wait to get first death out of the way, inquiry hears. The nurse was taken aback by the remark, although did not believe it was said with sinister intent. Lucy Letby, 34, is currently serving 15 whole life orders. Lucy Letby told a colleague on her first day of work at the Countess of Chester Hospital that she couldn't wait for my first death to get it out of the way, the Thirlwall inquiry was told. The neonatal nurse was convicted of murdering 7 infants and attempting to murder 7 more at the hospital between 2015 and 2016. The inquiry looking into how the deaths could have been prevented heard that Letby made the remark in January 2012,
so why would
more
you make
than 3
a remark
years
like
before
that?
babies died and collapsed on her shifts. Nurse ZC, who cannot be identified for legal reasons, said she was taken aback by Letby's remark. She also told the inquiry she was surprised when Letby became quite animated as she described her involvement in resuscitation attempts of a baby who had unexpectedly deteriorated overnight. Lucy Letby worked on the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital from 2012 to 2016. Nurse ZC said she thought at the time that Letby was trying to make conversation on her first day of work and did not believe it was said with sinister intent. She made a comment along the lines of, "I can't wait for my first death to get it out of the way," the nurse told the hearing. "It took me aback because for me the thought of having to experience that was not something you actively want to happen." The nurse recalled another exchange in early 2012 over a baby who was being prepared for discharge from the unit. She said, "I came in the next day and not long after I had been there, Lucy sort of presented as quite animated and told me everything that had happened to the baby and that she was involved in resuscitation attempts. It was something that took me by surprise because obviously the baby had been so well. Nurse ZC said letby was kind of excited, but she thought at the time that it may have been the adrenaline of the experience and that she needed to offload. She said, it was not as if she seemed upset or that it had traumatized her in any way. Lady Justice Thirlwall is chairing the inquiry into the deaths at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Nurse ZC said she also noticed letby's overfamiliarity with the family of a baby that she cared for during a work placement at Liverpool Women's Hospital, as she went into detailed discussions about them on her return to the Countess of Chester. She said, on reflection, the discussions didn't sit right. Earlier, Nurse W, who also cannot be identified for legal reasons, told the inquiry that letby couldn't wait to tell me about the overnight death of a baby boy when she arrived for a day shift in August 2015. She told the hearing, when I had left only 12 hours previously, the baby was clinically well. I should have been allowed to come into work and receive the handover with the rest of the support team, but I was bombarded with that information within a minute of walking into the unit. I didn't think it was appropriate at all. It was unprofessional. A review by Cheshire Constabulary of the care of some 4,000 babies admitted to the Countess of Chester while letby was working as a neonatal nurse from January 2012 to the end of June 2016 remains ongoing. Police are also investigating letby's work placements at Liverpool Women's Hospital between October and December 2012, and January and February 2015. Letby, 34, is serving 15 whole life orders after she was convicted at Manchester Crown Court of murdering 7 infants and attempting to murder 7 others, with 2 attempts on one of her victims, between June 2015 and June 2016. The inquiry is expected to sit until early 2025, with findings published by late autumn of that year. Letby is hoping to appeal her conviction for the murder of baby K and is also planning to take the case to the Criminal Cases Review Commission.
That is not a joke to make, what she said. What that joke, I would take that pretty serious. I will say that that's part of evidence of her mindset. That is just crazy to me. Like, oh, we don't know whether she was just joking because of nervousness. No, why would you make a joke like that when you got to look after little children, small children in a neonatal thing? Some might survive, some might not survive, and then you're making jokes like that. That's crazy to me, man. They're also saying that this it's not real evidence. The fact that she was on, where is it? She was on duty the majority of the time. They're saying that this evidence was cherry picked. I want to go to the actual. I don't know whether they will. If I can go to the actual inquiry itself to hear it for myself, little bits. Let me see if I can find it on the YouTube. You will never make a joke like that. That just shows you the woman's state of mind already. That's a month ago. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Oh, it's a public inquiry as well. Let me see what this is about. It hasn't got sound, I don't think. That's a month ago. That's a month ago. That's no good. Oops. Okay, that's a month ago. That's no good. The opening statement. Okay. Oops. Let's go this way. Okay. So this is the opening statement of the inquiry. Hiya. Hi, thanks for that. That's the spreadsheet, but it doesn't include 15. No, it doesn't include 15. There is a lot of stuff missing. You're right. There is a lot of stuff missing. There's a lot of stuff missing. And what they're trying to do, I think they're trying to stop bringing things out. Bringing things out. Because normally when I go through certain stuff, I can more or less work out what's going on. You know what I mean? You can see, okay, this is that is this, and then you can go from there. Then you can work out the rest. So they're saying that how people are just doing conspiracy theories, thinking on the on what she's done, when actually, in fact, even this spreadsheet here, right? Because it's like they're trying to say there's another person was involved other than Lucy Letby herself. There's a bunch missing. I believe you, because even your video that I watched yesterday with the 15 children, the 15 infants, and somebody else has said it as well, but it hasn't turned up in a lot of places. It didn't turn up. The certain newspapers have not mentioned the 15 children. They mentioned the 4 children, but not the 15 children. And I do believe that how she is the one who is the murderer. She's a Maya Hinley. She's the other lady, the other angel of death. Can't remember all their names right now, but yeah. So yeah, it's like you're trolling. You're looking through stuff, but it's just all up in the air, isn't it? Because even if I do watch the inquiry, right, the beginning opening statement, what the lady's gonna say, like, I've already come to my conclusion from when they caught her, right? And before when I spoke about before, there was loads of stuff pointing to her anyway. There was loads of stuff like her being there when they passed, her talking to the parents, or not talking to the parents. I can't remember all the ins and outs. Can't remember. My brain is, I'm old, you know. So yeah. So yeah, there is a lot of missing stuff. A lot. So your little videos that you got as well is interesting, because I feel that people need to look at your videos, what you done as well, so they can see what is missing, what's the missing puzzles, you know. I didn't even know there was a documentary done on her. I only just found out today. I didn't know. But then what they're saying that how most of what was said in the documentary is nothing new, what was said before, which is what they keep bringing forward on every single article. You know, apart from Phil Hammond, I think his name is Phil Hammond's the only one that seemed to be trying to talk up a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of like they're trying to change. It's like they're trying to. Oh, what's going on here? Oh. It's like they're trying to change the story, trying to change the situation, trying not to put her in that place, considering that I forgot the Indian doctor who caught her as well. But I'm gonna play a little bit of the inquiry, a little bit of the beginning of the inquiry. I'm not gonna play it all. Oops. Hold on, let me play. So it's a bit out there. Alright.
people who can help. They were published on 19th October. That was the official start date of the inquiry, almost exactly a month ago. Our work is in 3 parts. In brief, Part A is about the experience at the hospital and elsewhere of the parents of the babies named in neonatal units. We all know that there have been many inquiries into events in hospitals and other healthcare settings over the last 30 years. The case of Beverly Allett, who murdered babies at Grantham Hospital in the 1990s, comes to mind. Everyone was determined that it would not happen again. It has happened again. This is utterly unacceptable. I want to know what recommendations were made in all these inquiries. I want to know whether they were implemented. What difference did they make? Where does accountability lie for errors that are made? I intend to call experts to give evidence about this. Their details will appear in due course on the website. A wide-ranging and detailed questionnaire has been sent to every hospital in England with a neonatal unit. It is to be completed by both the medical director and a senior non-clinical manager at each hospital. It includes questions about whether there is CCTV on neonatal units, and if not, whether consideration.
And that's what I'm saying. So where was the CCTVs on the units when all this was going on? Because they must have CCTV of her as well. It's deprived, received to feed her to the press as a Catholic equalizer, a competition to the Golden Child murderer, said to Jeffrey Dahmer. Yes. Yeah. So something's got to be done because this is ongoing on for. Yeah, that's what they're trying to save their names. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to save their reputation. They're trying to save their names. They're trying to look as though they're not the ones who dropped the ball. Really, they dropped the ball big time, but they're not prepared to say that they dropped the ball on this one big time. See, and the fact that she's talking about Beverly Allett and all them ones, like. Now this is 2024. Like there's CCTV everywhere, literally. As you enter a building, there's CCTV of your face. From when you're in certain places to when you leave, to when you come off the premises, and even when you come off the premises, there's CCTV following you. So I don't see how they haven't got all this. What she's talking about, oh well, maybe there should be CCTV should have been installed in that hospital because you got little ones that you're taking care of. People take babies, all sorts of craziness. You know what I'm saying?
Has been given to installing it in the light of the Letby case. Those particular questions arise from suggestions made by some of the parents, and I'm grateful for their help on this and so many other matters. A short survey is to be sent to all midwives, doctors, nurses, and managers in hospitals with neonatal units. Responses will be anonymous. It will ask directly for their views on the culture in their units. I hope and expect that those who receive it will find the few minutes needed to complete it. Each response will play an important part in telling the inquiry what people on the ground really think. Detailed requests for information have already been sent to over 20 organizations. A list of the organizations will be on the website.
They're trying to cover their behind. I'm now very suspicious of any case where a medic is accused of using insulin to poison patients. It's strange, isn't it? Loads of workplaces have CCTV. Why not the NHS? Exactly. Exactly, especially a baby's unit. You would think they'd be watching them all the time. You know, I mean, like, there's a lot of monitoring that they got to do. Got to monitor their hearts, monitor this, monitor that. That is strange. Yes, you're right there. I'm actually gonna play your one with to do with the 15 babies, because I didn't know about that one. I literally, when I saw it, I didn't know about that part, because I'm just I'm following. I've been following it a while, but I ain't been following it that deeply. You know what I'm saying? So let me see if I can find your one, because you speak about the 15 babies, which I didn't even think there was. I mean, I would think she was doing it for a long time because of the time in which the time span. Hold on, let me find your comment. Where is it? Oh, it's not here. Okay. I've been unwell and unemployed, which has given me a lot of more time to deep dive. Yeah, well, you got to do what you got to do, innit? Got to do what you got to do. Yeah, let's put more videos on your thingy as well, because you have a lot of information there. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the 4 months one, because I didn't know an expose on unsafe conviction. Okay, let's see if we can get. Okay, I'm going to your video. Okay, so this is Cherry Morris's video. Okay, I'm gonna go to it now. Where is it? Okay, so this is about the 15 infants, which is not really spoken about in articles. But I see other people talking about it, just not certain places talking about it. Okay, so I'm gonna play your one, because I hear there's things I didn't finish watch it, but I'm gonna watch, and yeah, I'm gonna go. Like, we're gonna see. Let me see if I can get it closer. Oh, I can't get it closer. Hold on. Let's see if we can get it closer. Okay. Okay. It's not too graphic, is it? Is it, Cherry? I hope it's not graphic, because you know what YouTube gives you. YouTube's fussy and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let me play it.
Lucy Letby, under more careful scrutiny, could be a prime example of the legal fault lines. The evidence the jury had to work with was curated. Although the public were kept busy with the grisly facts, which were only revealed during the 9 months of testimony, the case was often missing key context. Several FOI reports, which may have only been released after the trial started, were never permitted as evidence, even though they shake the foundation of the prosecution's argument. The soundbite we heard time and time again, that Lucy was the only one present for all the events. A trial of this nature wouldn't fly without some authority, and among the some 250 witnesses called, 4 external medical witnesses held the spotlight, with Dewi Evans as the most senior and supposedly experienced.
Hi, Rico. Hi, Rico. Yes, you see these witnesses, right? It's like they aced out the witnesses. What, like, I'm glad you mentioned the witnesses. I'm going to let it play. I'm going to let it play.
He was the one who first approached the police investigation to offer his services, and is, of course, a paid mouthpiece.
Right.
He's a pediatrician, not a neonatologist, and has made a profitable career from accusing acts of deliberate harm in court, where he has both asserted and denied being an expert. He's a medical doctor, but has, in the past, been involved with the diagnosis of Munchausen's by proxy, which is a psychiatric condition and outside of his expertise. He has overseen the removal of children from their parents' care numerous times, and has never once, upon reviewing a case of suspected harm, sided with the defendant. He always pulls for the prosecution.
I received a copy of the clinical notes of over 30 babies who had either died or had collapsed during between January 2015 and July 2016. And I looked at all of them. Some of these cases, you could understand why the babies that died. They died from the usual problems of small babies, hemorrhage, infection, some congenital problem, for instance.
Note that Evans here reveals the true number of infants initially investigated.
And also, one of my subs works with babies, right? But she's not here. She also works in a prenatal situation too. Like, you know, when the mothers have the babies and all that, she's around all that. So, yeah, some of what you're saying is true, because that's what I said before. I think I said most of this before, but yeah.
This is also confirmed in the early articles from the Nursing Times, which reported 32 cases prior to Letby's name being released. From the cases reviewed, Dr. Evans claims to have disregarded those suffering with the usual problems. But if you remember the medical testimony from the trial, you know that most of the infants Lucy was charged with did also suffer from infection, hemorrhage, and congenital problems. Pneumonia was implicated in the death of child C, sepsis in the case of D. E died of fatal internal hemorrhaging. G and J both had prior history of infection and hemorrhaging disorders respectively.
Right.
K had a lung infection, N had congenital haemophilia, and O, P, and Q all showed signs of either sepsis or NEC. Something doesn't add up. There are 15 more infants who didn't get their day in court, and the ones who did, children A through Q as we knew them, don't exactly match Evans' own criteria for deliberate harm. The omission of those 15 victims from the table presented to the jury and the public means the correlation it draws is worthless. Here are the 26 critical incidents as they were presented in the trial.
Yeah, remember, Rico, when
we don't know how many separate incidents
happened
happened concerning the 15 babies omitted,
because of the time.
But rather than guesswork, let's consolidate the multiple events for the individual infants. That leaves us with 17, A through Q. Now, let's see them all together. While the nursing rotas for the omitted infants are a mystery, we know from cross-examination that children C, D, H, J, K, M, and N all had incidents outside of Lucy's hours. That leaves us with an estimated presence at events of about 41%. Lucy, on average, worked 60-hour weeks, which puts her presence at the ward around 36%. Even at a minimum estimation of Lucy's working hours, this doesn't break the 20% deviation that is usually cited as being statistically significant. Small data sets are actually prone to greater deviations than this. Her presence, when you take this into consideration, seems totally average. When the prosecution made the original table, it was filtered to show only what they wanted you to see and what they were trying to prove. They gave the public and the jury only a fraction of the picture. Taken out of context, it looked convincing. But it's hard to believe the prosecution didn't know that cherry-picking data to support your conclusion is both unscientific and duplicit at best. And even by drawing the circle around Lucy, they couldn't neatly bring the death toll down into the national average, or the ward's previous numbers. Even without those Lucy supposedly murdered, it was still double that of prior years. Clusters like this are a known phenomenon, especially when dealing with viral infection. But the prosecution deflected from this by pushing the theory that air embolism was the real cause of death. The X-rays were in front of me, several of them, all showing air in the baby's vessels. That's when I thought, no, it has to be, and it has to be deliberate.
That should be my vocabulary.
The images were never released to the public, but Dr. Bowen tells
your
us here that the
vocabulary
air
is
bubbles are
great.
in the vessels. She doesn't specify that they're in the heart. Child D, for example, had multiple X-rays taken after her first collapse, all appearing normal, no signs of embolism. In fact, Child D's first collapse happened moments after birth, while she was in her father's arms.
Wow. So she must have administered.
When she did unfortunately die, the body was transferred to Alderhay for the final X-rays, almost an hour's drive from the Countess of Chester, with the ill-placed central line left in the whole time. In the very paper Evans used for reference in the trial, it warns against using post-mortem imaging for diagnosis and states that air bubbles can form in the venous system as fast as 25 minutes after death. Yet Lucy was convicted on this charge. It was debated in trial, 11th of November 2022, with witnesses saying that for Child D, the latter X-rays showed signs of infection had subsided. However, that only refers to pneumonia. Sepsis isn't detectable by radiology and won't show signs on an X-ray. And that strange rash that was discussed as an indicator of the condition was also a red herring. While the jury had a glossary of terms, the real difference between mottling and purpurea wasn't well explained in the trial. Caroline Oakley, a neonatal nurse of 20 years, was well acquainted with the difference and said for Child D, the rash displayed was more localized. It was a deep red-brown, different from mottling, different from what I'd seen before.
So, would you not say that they was allergic to whatever she gave them and it came out in rashes on their body, apart as well as giving them the aneurysm in their body? Would you not think, Cherry? They was allergic to whatever was given to them, administered to them before or after birth? Because it sounds like she got to that child after birth. You know, when they come out and you have to warm them up, and I don't know how it goes. I'm not a medical, okay. I'm just kind of putting it out there. Well, Child D's first collapse was before Lucy ever got near them. Oh, okay. So are you saying that somebody else might have been in the labor suite with Child D? Lucy didn't work in the labor suite. Okay, she didn't work in the labor suite. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Oh, peoples are moving around. No, there was no murderer. Okay, no murderer. So she didn't work in the labor suite. All right. Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
And the flitting, mottled or lividoid pattern that the junior doctors and nurses seemed so shocked by is actually the far more common and benign cutis marmorata. And cutis marmorata can be a symptom of air embolism, but it's often seen in newborns as a mere reaction to cold conditions. A purpuric rash, in Child D's case, is more indicative of sepsis, also inferred by the blue, dusky, or purple colouring that was noted consistently throughout the first-hand reports. Purpuric rashes are usually blotchy, but during the COVID pandemic, some visual symptoms associated with a viral infection were similar to what Oakley may have been describing, a darker, localized reticular pattern. So if air bubbles weren't being deliberately injected, if there was no abuse happening, why did several of the babies who were improving and deemed ready to go home suddenly collapse? If you don't know the NICU personally, you may have seen from the media coverage that preterm infants are kept in filtered incubators. But let's look again at the evidence. Remember this? It's the scene in which Lucy noted child I looking pale, where she was questioned about how on earth she could have seen such a thing from the doorway at night. That distracted anyone from asking the other question. Where is the protection here? Not every child in the NICU needs to be incubated, but these filtered containers were protecting the younger babies from pathogens in the ward.
Hi,
The viral
Christine.
theory was oddly dismissed during the trial, but when the babies were getting better, stronger, and ready to go home, they were being moved.
Hi, Christine. Hi, Blanco. Yes, because they probably contained in that glass-looking unit. So, yeah, this looks like they're feeding where the mum feeds and feeds the baby, and yeah, it looks like like when they're on the way out of the place. Makes sense.
To these open-topped cots, hand-fed and exposed to the elements. So, why did the deaths stop when Lucy was moved to clerical duties in 2016? A little digging reveals this. The same month that Lucy was removed from nursing duties, in August of 2016, the ward stopped taking infants born below 32 weeks. They downgraded from around 16 beds, taking as many as 20 when running over capacity, to just 12 to 13, ending the ward's status as a level 2 facility, which it's claimed it didn't have the staffing levels for at the time. These were not quiet years in terms of perinatal legislation either. Embrace was founded in 2013, and the government had just set up the Saving Babies' Lives Care Bundle, and both were on board with the government initiative to reduce stillbirth rates. However, there's also some evidence that the national statistics weren't accurate to begin with. In 2022, the Telegraph published an article discussing the investigation into their nasty habit of recording early neonatal deaths as stillbirths. The National Health Service themselves were skewing the numbers, and it's not hard to see why. A financial compensation system is in place for the families of children who die in neonatal care, but not for those of whom are stillborn. And in addition to the standardised payouts, one family was awarded £8.5 million in a criminal negligence suit against the hospital, also in 2016, just before the senior doctors pushed for the police investigation against Lucy. But it still doesn't explain the sheer volume of fatalities the Countess saw in 2015. Stillbirths and neonatal deaths rose in tandem. However, both the central labour suite and the neonatal unit were affected by the floods. Raw sewage from the hospital septic system covered and led to the quarantine of several rooms on more than one.
Wow. Wow, so you're saying it was unsanitary around the children as well. That's deep. Yes, Bigfoot. Oh. Eventually, if the babies don't survive long enough to have it out of labor suite, they recorded as stillborns. Oh wow. That's sad. That's really sad.
Occasion. The plumber, Mr. Mansuti, gave details of the times he was called to the two units in court, June 14th. Although he was not outspoken about supporting a woman who was coming to be known as Britain's worst child killer, it becomes very clear when comparing dates given that rather than following
Blanco, this is a case that's been going on for a long time of a angel of death, i.e., you know what angel of death is. She's been in prison for I don't even know how long now. So Cherry's done a video where she's done a breakdown of how stillborns and stuff are, how they are registered as stillborns, which means that how there was 15 babies, apart from the 4 that was unalived, there's 50 more children that was unalived in the hospital. So she's also saying it's down to the place not being clean, down to certain stuff, and also because like the woman wasn't in the in the labor ward, in the labor suite. So this is what Cherry's explaining. This is Cherry. She yesterday sent me a link to her channel where she was explaining about the 15 other babies, because I covered Lucy Letby yesterday, but I didn't finish it. So she's put more context to what is going on, basically. So the stuff what they're not putting out in the inquiry, she's actually broken it down, because some of the stuff what they're giving to the public is not, they're not giving it, like the time when she's in the hospital with the children, the time, certain stuff, you know. Yeah, it's deep. It's real deep. So I'm gonna let it play.
Lucy from day to night shift, the deaths actually followed the sewage problems. Starting with a service report for blocked drains in the labour suite on July 4th, 2015, followed by 3 stillbirths that same month. Not every single death followed a plumbing complaint, and not every plumbing complaint was correlated with death, but the clusters of 2 or 3 deaths in quick succession would always close to one of these service reports. Prenatal care was not Lucy's department, so if the stillbirths were indeed stillbirths, or lives lost before they.
So maybe I need to reword it from Angel of Death, as you said that, Sherry. As you said that, might need to be reworded. Got to find another name for them. I have a whole different theory about. That's not until I get more motion. Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Cherry, it makes sense. Oh no, my levels. Because it's gonna piss a lot of people off. Oh. Yeah, so
left the labour suite. They were happening before contact with the now convicted nurse.
Oh, she was an extremely clever criminal. She almost got away with it.
I said the same thing. I said she was smart because she used her innocentness, her privilege, the smile, the innocence look. I said that as well. I said the same thing. She almost got away with it. True, she did.
And they may well deny it, but for the consultants actually pressing and demanding that the police got involved, I think she could well have got away with this, because
Yeah, I always say, Cherry, that's a nice documentary you put together. You actually fill in a few gaps which they didn't fill in. So it's down to basically cleanliness of the hospital, not being taken care of as well. The floor, the walls, all that stuff. And if the septic tank was broken, that says it all. Could easily apply it to Diva Evans. Everyone wants to trust doctors. Diva Evans. Yes, but he was the one who spoke out about her, wasn't he? And they were being sued for medical negligence. Oh, well, you see? So they're a bit like, I can't think of the worstest hospital that's around London right now. There's so many. There's so many. Can't think of it right now. Let me see. So, Rosie Waterhouse, as an investigator journalist of many years, who have taken an interest in the miscarriages of justice on material from many experts from many professional fields, I believe the convictions of Lucy Letby are unsafe and should be referred to the CCRC and by them to the Court of Appeal. So they really want to appeal for her to come out. Oh no, Ravi. Okay, that's Ravi. So they're really saying that she's innocent. Then is that what they're trying to say? Cherry. Is that what they're saying? But Ravi was a TV doctor, and he only returned to the ward in 2015. It was Dr. Berry who first accused her. Hold on, what's what she said? Did you see the Reddit mod who got exposed for being a pedophile? Oh no, I haven't really checked on those stuff. Blanco. Yeah, the babies died. I've heard of this condition before. I've heard of that condition before. Hi, Native. I've literally heard of that before. Cherry. But what I'm also trying to find, so most of these things where they put on these things are not real. Then is that what you're saying? So they're not real. Oops. So this inquiry then, trying to find bits that I can pull out of the inquiry, but there's so much in it. I'm trying to find stuff to pull out of the inquiry. He's been covering the Madden Soto case. Oh, him. Soto. Him. I know who. Okay. Premature babies are easily susceptible to cystitis. Cystitis will be a case against the hospital for medical negligence. It was a financial motive to pin it on Lucy. So you're saying Lucy's innocent. Is that what you're saying, Cherry, as well? So you're saying that Lucy is not the perpetrator, even though there was stuff that she kept, septicemia. So you're saying Lucy is not the perpetrator. That you're saying, Cherry. Yeah, it's like on cleanliness, yeah. Septicemia. Yeah. Might have to get Cherry up here to talk, I feel, so she can put her 5 pence in. I'm gonna bring you up, Cherry. Hold on. See, I can bring you up. Oh, it's not doing it. Cherry, can you come up as you've put a case? Because you're saying that she's innocent now, but public, some people in the public might say that she's not. Why don't we all talk about Maxwell and Alison Mack? You want to talk about her? No, I have to talk. I'll have to talk about that another time. I have to talk about that another time. I don't really do a lot of these ones on this channel, to be honest. It's not normally on this side I do that. I talk about Epstein and Maxwell and all that. I need spoke about Lucy, because Lucy is one of those ones where it's been done so many times before, and it's like they're trying to say that how she's innocent. So I want to know how she's innocent. But anyways, I'm gonna remove the thing because I'm not taking up loads of people today. So yeah, are you saying that Lucy's innocent as well? Because they're saying that Lucy's innocent as well. They're saying that how she's not the one who done it, considering that how there was notes and stuff like this. I think Lucy is a distraction to try and make up for all the police violence against minorities she's baked. Okay, yeah, I think that's why it's grabbed everybody's imagination. Yeah, I think and the what not only has it grabbed it's the fact that she got away with it for so long. Yes, I don't think she's the murderer. She was made out to be. Oh, okay then. Okay. Everybody has an opinion on this sort of stuff. It wasn't. It was only 2 years. It was 2 years. Okay. So you're saying he was distraction as well because their hospital was untidy, and that how they didn't take care of the children properly. She came under the limelight because of where she was at the time. The death started in 2015, and she was arrested in she was arrested in 2018. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. This has puts a whole different spin on everything because they haven't come up with nothing new. Even on the documentary. The documentary, even People's are like, they didn't really say a lot on the documentary. They didn't really expand a lot. They didn't have nothing new to say. They could say the same old stuff, the same old things. I haven't seen the documentary, so I wouldn't know. Quite a few people saying that how she's innocent, strange enough. Legal team, public. Let me see what else I could draw. Is this the same one? It's the same one I already picked up. Is the fact that even the statement she said was crazy before she started work. I mean, why would you say a statement, oh, I might lose one today or some stupidness like that? Why would you say something so dumb like that? Yeah, I can't find nothing new myself. I'm looking and I can't see nothing new. She said that was really totally stupid what she said. So it really wasn't that long at all. The hospital had a financial motive to have her take the blame. Okay. I actually have a longer documentary on my channel, but it was banned in the UK. Oh, I might not be able to play it on here because they knew there was an infection in the ward. So, yeah. Okay. All right. I ain't saying what you're saying ain't wrong, right? Because like there's loads of possibilities and a lot of stuff, and some of it is clear cut and some of it isn't. Sometimes you can look at a case and you say, okay, it's like this, it goes like this, it goes like this, and it's clear cut. This one doesn't, like it doesn't seem clear cut. Yeah, because she wasn't being careful. Probably her privileges. She never thought she'll be accused. Okay. All right, Cherry. But I just thought I'll complete my up to date on Lucy Letby. But if it is what it is, right? Because I'm keeping a watch on the threads about her as well. So she didn't watch her mouth. No, she didn't watch her mouth. When she said, "Oh, I might lose one." She just started and she said, "Oh, one might not make it," or something stupid like that. She said something dumb. She didn't watch her mouth, but it doesn't mean that she's a murderer. But why would you make a joke like that? Being that you got to deal with children who probably passes every single couple of days. There's a little one that's passing and stuff like that. For the type of work that she's doing, you shouldn't, like, sometimes I feel people are not tactful in how they say things. There's tactful, there's tactless, and there's tactful. Tactfulness. That was the triplets because the first two died. Okay. So, she wasn't tactful in her words. You know what I mean? Well, maybe because I'm looking at it from a parent's point of view, a mother's point of view. That's where I'm looking at it from, maybe on my side of things. Because, like, you'll think that how after you've given birth, that you're supposed to be safe, the area's supposed to be clean, you're looked after, the baby's looked after. Yeah, it's deep. This is very deep. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna say guys. But yes, I'm going to stop it here because it's one of those things that goes round and round and round and round in circles and you never see the ending of the tunnel. I like to know that there's an ending of the tunnel. So it follows that the third might. But you are right. She was so busy thinking about how hard it was for her. She didn't think how the parents would feel. That's it. And that's more what I'm thinking about more. The parents. The parents is the one who's got to go through all this bereavement, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I've never been, touch wood, I've never been through it myself. Losing a child, especially a very small child, it's not something that people get over at the same time. They don't get over that. Losing a small child, whether it's a miscarriage or whatever, it takes long for the person to actually get over that. Let's hope Marilyn Manson gets 30 years. Yeah, I saw flashes of that as well. I try not to I try not to take on those ones too much, man. He's another one. Yeah, so it's not an easy thing losing a child, no matter what age they are, whether they're small or big or whatever. It's sad, and it's the circumstances how it was done. Yeah, the parents deserve justice, but they deserve real justice, not lies. That's true. That is very true. That is very true. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to leave it there. we can only hope that something comes out of this, that the parents do actually get something out of this, and they're not just used as a crutch out of all of this, because who knows how they're feeling right about now. So yeah, so thank you, Cherry, for coming through. Rico, Christine, Blanco. It's one of those, it's a very sad story in any levels. It's sad. Thank you so much for the live. It was good to chat to you. Yeah, that's okay. It's sad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But this lady just is like, it's like the gun's pointing in her direction right now. So I mean, she should be glad that they don't do thingy executions over here, because boy, I'm here and I'm tinkering with Florida water I made. Oh yeah, I've seen your Florida water. Looks very nice. Yeah, it's yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It's very sad. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave it here for today. You won't. I'm not gonna do another live today, because I said I was gonna literally pick through some of this thing, and I'm glad that Cherry actually spoke about the other children, because I didn't know about the other. I literally didn't know. I can honestly say I didn't know about the other children, and it's always good to get more information from other people, because she's gone in. She's digged as deeper places probably out, like at one, like because the bits I'm seeing is not explaining, or they're saying certain stuff, but they're not saying certain stuff. They're still leaving questions behind. So thank you, Cherry, Blanco, and Rico, and Christine for coming through. And I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, I'm not gonna do what I did yesterday. I'm definitely not coming back on live today, because yeah, I'm not coming on. Not coming on again today. Probably tomorrow, maybe. If I have to, I need to do some things on the dark side anyway. But I'm thinking about it. I don't like putting anything over there. Now something else has come up on the YouTube streets with CJ Cool, and I put it in the community tab. Signs of predators and stuff like that. So if you lot are on the community tab, take a look, because like, yeah, that's just a whole another situation going on there. Yeah, so with that said, I'm gonna leave it right here. I'm not gonna go on longer. We'll see you in the next one. Not today, but in the next one. And yeah, I'll see you. Take care. And I'll thank you, Cherry, again. You answered a lot of questions. Yeah, okay, Christine, always busy now. Like, yeah. So I'll see you guys later in the next one. Okay, take care. Bye.